So Woody asked here, he has a question around the relationship between meta questions and Robert Dilts' model with the sleight of mouth patterns. And it's a really good question. In fact, Michael Hall, when he remodeled the book, Sleight of Mouth from Robert Dilts, and he came up with the Mind Lines model. And so what the Mind Lines model did is it took the sleight of mouth patterns and added some more. I believe in the Mind Lines model, it upgraded or added more distinctions from the 14 from, I believe it was 14 from Robert Dilts into 26 patterns in total in the Mind Lines model. And from those 26 models, one of the great things that he did was he actually took those 26 mind line patterns and broke them down into 7 directions that someone could take a mind. And so in terms of the relationship between the meta questioning skill, the neurosemantic skill of asking meta questions, and the mind lines model or the sleight of mouth model, is that as far as I'm aware, some of the patterns, for example, let's say the first 2 mind line models chunk down with specificity. So who, what, when, where, and how specifically, those are actually meta model questions. So those are precision questions, which would be the first sleight of mouth pattern. And the second sleight of mouth pattern is to elicit the strategy process, which is also a down question. This is like a meta model specificity process. So especially in that model, the up questions. So the outframing mind line patterns, for example, when we, anyone who's familiar with the basic NLP meta model, the precision questioning model, you know, you'll know from one of the ways to counter a generalization from someone when someone says always, you go always. Someone says never, you go never. And so if you think about that response pattern, it's interesting because it's in the original meta model, which is a precision questioning model. It's supposed to be getting someone more precise, but in fact, you know, if someone says always, they say, he always is rude to me. If you want to respond with a precision question, you could ask, when specifically is he rude to you? Yeah. If that makes sense. And that would be a question that would get someone to chunk down to specificity. So he's always rude to me. When specifically is he rude to you? That's a precision question that brings it down to the world of experience or examples of that generalization. But when you reply to that question, he's always rude to me, and you reply, always? In fact, what you're doing is you're meta-stating with allness. So you're actually asking a form of a meta question. You're taking a state of allness and you're bringing it to bear upon at a meta level, that statement, with the effect that you're after is to have them now get more precise. So to summarize my answer to your question is, some of the sleight of mouth or the mind line patterns bring the mind down to the details, and those would not be meta questions. Those would be meta model questions, kind of from the original NLP or the updated meta model. But the questions that get someone to go up and out frame, for example, bringing ecology to bear. So does that belief serve you? The belief that he's always rude to you, does that belief serve you? What you're doing is you're taking a state of ecology and you're bringing that at a meta state level to outframe it. And so that does that serve you is actually a meta question. Okay. Or when you ask someone, for example, if you go pre-framing with intention. So what do you think is his positive intention in doing that to you? So that also is bringing someone to a meta question, a meta frame. So some of the mind line patterns or the sleight of mouth patterns bring someone's mind down to precision. And some of them that pull someone up and out to outframe would be more meta question or meta state kind of question, depending on how you ask them.
What did you decide about the dog?
Oh, so that actually was a meta question, right? So what decision do you make about getting a dog? And I decided to not decide. So I went up another level and outframed the outframe. I decided to postpone my decision for later. So
I'm sorry, I'm being playful, but I do have the meta model. I mean, the Mind Lines book. I just haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah, and I highly recommend that book. It's a really great book. I actually just literally right before this call got off of the call with Pascal Gambardella, who is the genius who designed all of the visual model diagrams from that book. So if you look at all the pictures, those were designed by Pascal Gambardella, and he's one of the amazing members of our Institute of Neurosemantics here in the United States. A great guy, and he's been practicing NLP since, I want to say, 1983, 1984. He's been running NLP practice groups. So really cool guy, really great book, and a really great question.
Okay, well,
So one more interesting distinction is that the questions of who, so the core questions you can ask about anything is who, what, where, when, why, and how. And from those core questions, all of them but one bring you down. And one of them brings you up as a meta question. And so who specifically, it's a specific, when, where, how, so who, what, when, where, and how brings someone down. However, that sneaky why question is actually a meta question in disguise, because when you ask someone why, rather than getting precision details about what specifically happened or what specific example, they go up into the meta realm of their reasons or justifications or excuses or beliefs or decisions, and up into those meta categories of consciousness that we explore in the meta question. So another awesome distinction there, and I really appreciate that question.